The movie starts with a vulture-like creature picking at a human hand. Before the scavenger can get too far, the hand shoots up from the rubble, grabbing the bird by the throat. The hand belongs to our protagonist, Riddick. His face is bruised and battered, his body torn from whatever battle he's fought to get here. As he pulls himself toward a distant pool of water, his hopes for relief are crushed when he realizes the water is undrinkable. Exhausted, he rests for a moment, but his brief reprieve is cut short by distant howling. Riddick's instincts kick in. He quickly lodges his foot between two rocks and, gritting his teeth, fixes his broken leg, the pain unbearable but necessary. The sound of his cries echo in the barren landscape, catching the attention of the creatures prowling the area, beastly, hyena-like predators. He straps on his signature goggles and scans the horizon, spotting them lurking in the distance, their glowing eyes fixed on him. He has no choice but to retreat into the water, sinking until the beasts lose interest. The creatures, hungry and patient, eventually back off, allowing Riddick some much-needed time to rest and adjust his wounded leg. But the reprieve is short-lived. A lurking hyena beast creeps up behind him, ready to strike. Riddick acts fast, engaging the creature in a back-and-forth brawl. After a tense struggle, he hurls a piece of his armor into the distance. The beast, surprisingly, takes the bait and chases it. "Go fetch, boy," Riddick mutters. With the immediate threat gone, he takes the opportunity to fix his leg further and begins his long trek across the harsh desert. Days of traveling under the unforgiving sun lead him to a cave, where he finally finds drinkable water. As he quenches his thirst, he notices some peculiar steps carved into the cave's stone. However, before he can investigate further, the familiar growls of the hyena beasts echo through the cave. They've tracked him down. As they near the entrance, a strange, monstrous creature emerges from the water and attacks the boldest hyena, ripping it apart and sending the others fleeing in terror. But now Riddick faces a new threat. The creature, far more dangerous, turns its attention toward him. A tense fight ensues, with Riddick narrowly escaping its deadly jaws. He tries his luck with the old fetch trick again. This time, it works just enough for him to evade death. Riddick continues his desert journey, eventually coming upon an ancient obelisk. With his strength waning, he pushes the obelisk forward, using the broken pieces as makeshift shelter to shield himself from the elements. Exhausted, he rests, reflecting on his past. His reign as Lord Marshal of the Necromonger fleet, a role that left him restless and uneasy. Memories flood his mind, taking him back to a betrayal that ultimately landed him on this forsaken planet. Vako, a high-ranking officer in the Necromonger ranks, watches Riddick in his chambers. A young woman, one of his personal attendants, nervously speaks to him, asking for the easiest way to reach the heart. But in a sudden twist, she betrays him, stabbing him in the back. She quickly meets her own demise as Riddick eliminates her and questions who put her up to it. The answer is vague. Riddick has many enemies. Vako then taunts Riddick, hinting that the rumors of him going soft have spread. The tension between them escalates, but instead of immediate violence, they strike a deal. Vako holds the only existing map to the planet Furia, Riddick's true homeland, but he wants something in return: transcendence. Riddick accepts the deal, receiving a ship and passage to Furia. But of course, it's a trap. The crew aboard the ship never intended to take him to Furia at all. They took him to some random, hostile planet. As the betrayal unfolds, Riddick systematically eliminates each would-be assassin, dispatching them in brutal fashion. One of the soldiers, Crone, sporting a disfigured face, grabs a gun and fires at Riddick, thinking he has the upper hand. Riddick, however, is anything but easy to kill. After a brutal skirmish, the ground beneath them gives way, sending Riddick plummeting into the depths below. Seemingly defeated, Riddick emerges from the rubble and continues his journey across the desert. Along the way, he captures a baby hyena creature, keeping it in a cage and feeding it, unsure if it's a future pet or future meal. As he scales a mountain, he discovers a small serpent, extracts its venom, and injects it into the baby hyena to test its effects. Satisfied with the results, he injects himself, further enhancing his ability to survive in this unforgiving environment. Back on the move, Riddick encounters a massive serpent in the water. After a brief struggle, he slices off its head, but before he can celebrate, another, even larger serpent emerges. With quick reflexes, Riddick grabs his pet and flees, dodging the serpent's attacks. In a final confrontation, he slides beneath the beast and slashes it open, spilling its insides before escaping with his new companion. Months pass as Riddick continues to roam the desert with his now fully grown hyena by his side. The hyena was carrying something in his mouth. It was a golf ball indicating the existence of life. After climbing a nearby hill, Riddick spots a building in the distance. Inside, he finds supplies and takes a moment to rest, sharing a meal with his loyal companion. A sudden rainstorm signals that their time on the planet is coming to an end. Riddick heads back to the facility and is scanned, his identity confirmed. As expected, he's a wanted man. His distress beacon triggers a response, and soon, a ship descends onto the planet. A group of mercenaries, led by a man named Santana, arrives, their mission clear. Bring Riddick back, dead or alive. Santana and his crew approach the facility cautiously. As they step inside, they see a message scrawled on the wall in Riddick's hand. Leave one ship or die. Santana's crew prepares for the hunt with machines, making it clear they're gunning for dead over alive when it comes to Riddick. Santana orders his youngest crew member, Luna, to wake up their captive and kick her out of bed. They're running heavy, and she's just dead weight. Luna coldly releases the prisoner, telling her to leave before Santana changes his mind. As she runs for freedom, Santana shoots her down without a second thought, her lifeless body collapsing right in front of Riddick. Santana then turns to Riddick, smugly announcing his intention to kill him. But before Santana can make his move, more mercenaries arrive. Colonel R. Boss Johns, Dahl, and their crew, intent on collecting the bounty on Riddick's head. The tension escalates as Santana tries to warn them off, claiming Riddick is his prize. Johns agrees, but only to spectate, stirring an uneasy alliance. From the moment they land, it's clear neither team trusts the other. Both have their plans, and it's anyone's game. As the crews bicker and clash over strategy, Riddick prepares to make his move. While on patrol, two of Santana's crew are alerted by their machine, which detects something nearby. Santana realizes it's just a hyena. Diaz, one of Santana's men, takes a shot, but misses, sparing the animal. They soon realize the hyenas have stolen something important, and the machine starts malfunctioning. Riddick's doing something in the distance, disrupting its frequency. As tension mounts, Dahl notices equipment is missing, and Johns questions Santana about whether they swept the area for traps. Before Santana can answer, one of his men finds something on the ground. Santana warns him not to touch it, but the crew member ignores the warning. It's just a metal plate, but as he takes another step, he's caught in a foothold trap. Santana shouts for him to stay still, but the man panics, moving forward only to be snapped up by another trap. This time, there's no coming back. The crew is on edge, their every move laced with caution. They know Riddick is out there, watching, waiting. As they search, two of Santana's crew patrol the area together. Without warning, one of them is snatched into the shadows. His partner spins around, only to see him being dragged away. Gunfire erupts into the darkness as Luna tries to defend them. Meanwhile, Johns orders his crew to stay inside, hoping to wait out the night. By morning, two of Santana's crew are dead, their bodies a grim reminder of Riddick's deadly precision. Desperate, Santana approaches Johns and Dahl's team, seeking a partnership. They're hesitant, especially after Dahl lands a punch that leaves Santana reeling. Eventually, they agree, but only on the condition that Johns is in charge, with Dahl as second in command. Santana's arrogance gets him hit again by Dahl, who clearly has no patience for his bravado. Johns makes it clear he wants Riddick alive. After the first day, Santana can do whatever he wants, but until then, Riddick is off limits. With the partnership in place, they shut down the base and prepare to hunt Riddick by daylight. Boss Johns notices a hyena in the distance and instructs Dahl to shoot it with a bullet laced with barium, making it easier to track. Her first shot misses, but the second lands, and the crew rides out on floating bikes, following the hyena's trail. They enter a cave, weapons ready, their nerves on edge. As they move deeper into the darkness, they find what appears to be a hideout. Suddenly, a figure steps into view. Without hesitation, they open fire, riddling the figure with bullets. It's only after the dust settles that Boss realizes the man they just killed is one of Santana's missing crew members. Before they can recover from the shock, the hyena attacks, disrupting their formation before disappearing into the shadows. One of the crew remarks that if Riddick isn't here, where is he? Back at the ship, Dahl cleans herself after the grueling day. She hears a noise but brushes it off. Boss Johns tries to contact her frantically, but the signal isn't getting through. As Dahl resumes cleaning, Riddick silently creeps into the ship, stealing supplies from her kit without her noticing. Meanwhile, Luna assists another crew member in fixing the eye scanner, completely unaware that Riddick is already on top of the ship, watching their every move. He opens the hatch door, using a small mirror to inspect the interior. As he sneaks through, Johns continues trying to warn Santana, but Santana ignores the calls, too focused on his own plans. He barely escapes a deadly encounter when Riddick sneaks up behind him, ready to strike. Dahl unintentionally saves him by walking in at just the right moment. A fight breaks out between the two, and Santana attacks Dahl, threatening her with violence. Unbeknownst to him, Riddick lies in wait, perched above them, prepared to strike at any moment. Johns finally arrives, finding blood smeared on the floor. Dahl quickly informs him the blood is from Santana, a result of their earlier fight. Johns warns Santana not to open the locker, suspecting a trap. Santana refuses to listen and goes on to open the locker. Johns warns him saying, if Riddick was here then he might have changed the lock combination. Making a dangerous gamble, Santana finally opens the locker. It's anticlimactic. Inside, both the batteries are still present. As the teams regroup, Johns outlines their next course of action, including blocking off the cave to trap Riddick. While they discuss the plan, one of the crew members notices something off. He investigates and finds the sky window is open. Before he can react, Riddick ambushes him, dragging him into the shadows. The crew scrambles to find him, but it's too late. Riddick has already stolen everything they need to leave the planet. With their exit strategy gone and Riddick out there, the hunters have become the hunted. And Riddick? He's just getting started. John strides out, his voice commanding as he orders the team to lock down the place. He wants everyone on the perimeter, ready for whatever comes their way. They argue, wrestling with the dilemma they now face. Their ships are incompatible, so combining power sources is impossible. Calling for backup? Not an option. It would make them look weak. They're trapped in a situation that seems to offer no easy escape. Suddenly, their conversation is interrupted by the unmistakable voice of Riddick. They scan their surroundings but see nothing, only to realize the voice is coming from one of their slain hunters' devices. John steps up, determined to find Riddick himself. But that's unnecessary because Riddick is coming straight for them. As he approaches, an uneasy tension grips the crew, and one by one, they lower their weapons. John reveals his true intent, answers. He needs to know what happened to his son. Dahl, sensing the looming danger, readies her horse tranquilizer, aiming at Riddick, but the conversation continues. Santana, who had been full of bravado when Riddick was just a distant threat, now grows visibly nervous with the man standing right in front of him. Riddick issues a dire warning. In 24 hours, no one will want to be on this planet. The rains are coming, and with them, death. He could kill them all now, but instead, he offers a deal. One of the ships in exchange for their lives. The deal is simple. When the rain hits, either they give him a ship politely, or he'll resume the killing spree. He turns to leave, but Santana, eager to reclaim his lost pride, prepares to shoot. Before he can pull the trigger, Riddick's hyena leaps to attack. Chaos erupts, and Dahl fires multiple tranquilizer darts into Riddick. Even as he struggles, the hyena attacks Santana. Dahl shoots more darts until Riddick finally goes down, and Santana manages to kill the hyena. Seizing the moment, John knocks out Riddick and takes him prisoner. They chain him up, and John wastes no time, launching into an interrogation. He demands to know about his son, who supposedly died in a crash 10 years ago. Riddick, however, refuses to give the answers John seeks. Instead, he warns Santana that if the chains come off, he'll be the first to die within 5 seconds, using the very machete Santana carries. Frustrated, John orders Dahl to look outside. She describes the ominous sight beyond, and Riddick cryptically tells her to notify him when she sees something else. As John continues to scream for answers about his son, the rain begins. The countdown has started. Realizing his time is up, John reluctantly hands Riddick over to Santana, who's more than eager to execute him. Just as Santana is about to deliver the killing blow, the station scanners pick up movement. The team rushes outside to investigate. Santana watches the monitors, and the spotlight flicks on, revealing serpents rising from the ground. The crew panics. One of them fires wildly, but it's too late. A serpent crashes through the facility's metal walls, killing him. More serpents begin to surface, and they scramble to defend themselves. Moss is dragged off the roof, and everyone fights to survive. Riddick, still chained, watches the chaos unfold with grim amusement. He warns them that in 60 seconds, the chains are coming off, and if they want to live, they'd better act fast. As the serpents close in, Riddick predicts things will only get worse because no one knows how many creatures are buried beneath the surface. John finally agrees to Riddick's terms, setting up a tentative deal to escape together. But as he moves to release Riddick, Santana steps in, pressing a blade to John's throat. The chains stay on, he declares. Dahl tries to intervene, but Diaz holds her back. Santana, determined to assert his control, moves to execute Riddick. At the last second, Riddick kicks Santana's blade into the roof, sending Santana flying into a cabinet. When Santana gets up, Riddick sends the blade straight through his head, killing him instantly. Keeping his word, Riddick steps into the crate as promised, earning the crew's reluctant trust. With their numbers dwindling and the serpents closing in, the survivors prepare to leave. Vargas is bitten by a baby serpent, and though Diaz kills the creature, Vargas succumbs to the venom. Desperate, they hop on hovering motorbikes and speed toward the location of the nodes, their only means of escape. Riddick, weaponless, resorts to using his bike's flames to fend off the serpents, improvising his way through the chaos. However, Diaz betrays the group, pushing John off the mountain. Riddick, in a surprising move, saves John. They make it to the nodes, and as Riddick digs them up, he reveals that John's son had a morphine addiction, a revelation that shakes John to his core. Meanwhile, Diaz sabotages one of the bikes and attempts to kill both Riddick and John. It's a foolish move. He's no match for Riddick. The fight ends swiftly, with Riddick killing Diaz, but not before Diaz destroys their last bike, leaving them stranded. With no other option, Riddick and John start walking, battling serpents every step of the way. But during one fierce attack, Riddick is severely injured. John, in a moment of weakness, throws a bomb to clear the remaining serpents and leaves Riddick behind, returning to the ship and convincing the others it's time to leave. Riddick, resourceful as ever, uses hot stones from the explosion to cauterize his wounds and makes a run for it. As he climbs, serpents surround him, and it seems like the end. But then, out of nowhere, salvation arrives. Blasts from the sky wipe out the serpents. John came back. They pull Riddick aboard just in time, escaping the deadly storm and the planet. The two part ways with a mutual understanding. Riddick, however, still has unfinished business. He confronts the man with the scarred face, learning that Siberia's never intended to betray him. The scarred man did because Riddick was an unbeliever. Without hesitation, Riddick kills him. He turns to the woman, asking if Siberia's is dead or alive. Her answer? Both. He achieved transcendence. And there you have it. An intense survival against deadly serpents, betrayal, and a thrilling face-off with Riddick at the center of it all. If you love this action-packed journey, don't forget to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Movies Unboxed.